Hello there, everyone, and welcome to GamePoints episode 277. Your weekly little get-together. We talk about recent gaming news. I'm, as always, your host, Stephen Brown, and joining me today is...
I'm David.
Tonight, David. Seems like a PlayStation showcase is imminent. Alan Wake gets a remaster. Mass Effect 5 might abandon Frostbite as well. But first...
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, really. But first, I want everyone here to know this is an audience interactive podcast. So if you're watching us live here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time over at Twitch TV/GamePoints or later over at YouTube.com/GamePointsPC, feel free to join in the conversation with any questions, comments, concerns, etc. you might have. Just try to keep it germane to the topics on hand. David?
Yes, sir.
Let's go ahead and just address this elephant out the gate because you made a good point right before we went on live. Yes. We are aware that one of the biggest video game stories recently going on is the ousting of Tripwire Interactive CEO over some tweets that he made. He has been recently replaced with a gentleman who's been with the company since its founding for about 20 years, I believe you said.
Alan Moore.
Alan Moore.
Co-founder.
And that is the extent of this topic we're going to be covering. Not so much just because it's not important to games, but because of the sensitive nature of the comments that were made, which produces heated response on both ends. And I know for a goddamn fact that I'm going to look at this and go, why are you all pissed off about this and not this, which I find to be the greater issue here? And it is
It's also one of those things that if you are interested in knowing more, it is clickbaity everywhere.
Yes.
And while we will occasionally lean into things that are clickbaity,
this particular topic will only bring annoyance. And let's just leave it at that. So yes, it's not that we're blind to it. We are aware of what's going on that one. It's just I am choosing to go, hey, if you want to find out more about Tripwire Interactive CEO and what was said and stuff like that, there are a myriad of other places you can turn to that. I fully encourage you to do that because I can promise you from a personal standpoint, I am not going to be able to give this the kind, measured response that I think the topic is due. I'm just not going to be able to. That's a fault of my own.
In other news, Steven, my friend, what have you been playing?
What have I been playing? Oh, man, you had to ask me that. God damn it. What
Are you all NDA to hell on some dumb shit?
No, not at the moment. You know what I've been playing? Ender Lilies.
All right, still going on that?
Yeah, I'm still going through Ender Lilies. I played a little bit of Hell Architect. That was all right. And still working right through XCOM Enemy Unknown's The Lost War mod. Finally getting close to the end of that. I will say, though, something I'm going to be playing this week. We'll get to it a little bit more in new releases, but The Artful Escape. I will be taking a look at that later this week. I'm really excited to get all of that. Hey there, Macmaticus. Cool. Good to have you. David, what about you? What have you been up to?
I can feel it. I am so remarkably close to the end of Psychonauts 2. Like, I feel like I have another hour, maybe two left in that game.
It's funny that you say that, because I have heard from multiple people that game feels like it's about to end, and then just keeps going. There's like multiple false endings to that game, it feels like.
It's entirely possible that it's just going to keep going. But still just fucking adoring that game. If you liked the first Psychonauts, this is just... It's one of the best 16-year sequels, I think, that's happened in gaming. Because it just feels like you're stepping right into the shoes of the first game, but better. And it still has like the same humor. And it's just, I don't know. I think it's good.
I'm glad people are liking it.
The only issues that I have with it is that you have too many powers, and there's not enough buttons on the controller, and so you constantly have to like remap your powers. Okay. But that's not really a complaint, right? Because you got too much cool shit that you can do. So like when you get into combat, you're like, fuck, do I want to use telekinesis, or do I want to set things on fire, or do I want to, use this move or that move, or so it's kind of a funny problem to have.
My own personal animus against Double Fine aside, I'm glad to hear that that game is doing well and is what people were hoping for. I'm not hearing anyone who liked the first one actively complaining about this one even in the slightest. So I'm glad you guys got a game that you were looking forward to.
Yeah, and I think my favorite part is if you're going into the series fresh, this shit doesn't like hold your hand or like tiptoe you through Psychonauts lore. It's like, no, you're a fucking kid that works for a spy agency where everybody's a psychic. Figure your shit out. Like, it doesn't really...
I appreciate that because there is something to be said about video game pacing when it comes to entries that are part of a series and they feel the need to kind of recap everything in a heavy-handed way. I'm glad that they're
it just kind of throws you in. You either know about it or you pick it up via context as you play.
It's the same reason why I like that PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game so much. Because they're like, listen, it's Spider-Man. We don't need to go over the origin story again. If you need a refresher, find it somewhere else.
Yeah,
and I like
never seen a Spider-Man. This isn't your Spider-Man.
Yeah, I like that more things are willing to just kind of cut to the chase on that stuff. David, let's go ahead and get right into the news at this point. First story is that the fact that a PlayStation showcase seems to be imminent. It will be broadcasting next Thursday. That's this Thursday at this point now, September 9th at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I will be co-streaming that, by the way. So feel free to drop on by and we'll take a look at what Sony has to show off together. And they will be for a look into the future of PlayStation 5. The showcase will weigh in around 40 minutes and include updates from PlayStation Studios and some of the industry's most imaginative developers for games releasing this holiday and beyond. And stick around after the presentation to get more updates on some of the studio teams featured in the showcase. One thing to note, PlayStation's next generation of VR won't make an appearance at this time.
I still love that they're doing that. They're keeping these updates consistent. They're saying, hey, this is what we're going to be talking about. This is what we're looking at. Here's what we're not doing. My phone just told me that we're live. Anyone that heard that noise?
Way to be on that phone.
Yeah. And yeah, they can really lower your expectations going in so you have a good idea of what you're getting and what you're not getting. That being said, I am still interested in what their next gen VR is going to look like because the PS5 has been out now for almost a year.
Yeah,
8 months, 9 months, somewhere in there. And I don't know. I feel like it's a good time for them to start refreshing that hardware. VR's kind of changed a lot. They really need to catch up, especially where the controller is concerned. And I'm interested.
I'm expecting. I don't want to say I'm expecting like a massive thing from this. It is only going to be 40 minutes. So it's not like an hour and a half or anything like that. But I do expect some big stuff from this. You can rest assured that God of War and Horizon Forbidden West will both be talked about on this. Even though while we know more about the Forbidden West now, it is still a game that
because they didn't say those won't be there. So now you can expect everything.
I do expect both of those. I would be shocked if we didn't hear what the fuck Abandoned is and more on that, despite that essentially being a game that the entire internet kind of just collectively sighed at when the the live experience app finally went live. What else do you think might show up to this? Because Sony's kind of keep things close to us. Maybe some Gran Turismo 7 stuff? Maybe?
Spyro 5.
505?
I said Spyro 5.
Spyro 5. Okay. Sorry, 505 is an actual like publisher. So when you said that, I was like, okay, and what are they showing?
No, I'm just making a joke. I have no idea.
I am hearing various rumors, not to get people's hopes up or anything like that, but I keep hearing grumblings about this might be when they finally announce the Blue Point acquisition. You know, that thing they accidentally tweeted out the phone, the photo for, and they went, nothing to see here. And I'm also hearing I am hearing various grumblings. Take these with a grain of salt because this is shit that is claimed every time this comes up, that this will also be the time you get the Bloodborne PC port as well as a potential Metal Gear thing. Whatever may or may not be.
I mean, if they announce like a Metal Gear Solid trilogy remaster collection, that'll make my year.
I would love to see the original 3 Metal Gear Solid, not the original 3, but the 3 Metal Gear Solid games.
Yeah.
Redone in like the vein of Twin Snakes, for example. I would love to see that. And that's been a weird back channel rumor for quite a while now that Blue Point might be working on that.
It's really up to Konami and actually bothering to use a license.
Yeah, we'll see. But I don't expect to see those there, but I wouldn't be like... It wouldn't be out of left field if it was there, because it's been just hyped.
I would blow my mind.
So long.
That's all I would talk about. You wouldn't be able to... You'd have to mute me next week. That's all I would be...
What about all of you out there? If it's before Thursday, what are you guys hoping to pop up at the PlayStation Showcase? I personally, as far as like hopes and dreams go, would love to see Colony Wars in some kind of VR form. While they said they're not going to be talking about next generation of VR, they do have a current generation of VR that could play it.
Yeah, I also hope they figure out what the fuck they're doing with these next-gen upgrades.
It's...
Because they've been super wishy-washy on that.
When I have been sitting back and trying to think of what Sony actually has coming out from the first parties, we really don't know all that much, especially when it comes to like pure PlayStation 5 games.
Yes.
Because there are two or three big upcoming ones: Horizon, God of War, and I think Gran Turismo as well, are all also going to be on PlayStation 4. I don't know about Gran Turismo. I need to double check that. But God of War is, I think they've more or less said it is PlayStation 4. Horizon sure as hell is. So what Sony have coming up that's in the next or current generation, I guess I should say now. Let's use the appropriate nomenclature here.
Because they still have 3 next gen games.
Yeah. What does Sony actually have that is meant to take full advantage of the PlayStation 5? And don't fucking say abandoned. I'm not talking to you, David. I'm talking to you out there who might be a fan. You, Hassan. You specifically. But what else do they actually have? Like, I hope that this showcase, I don't think we'll get it. We might, but I hope that we at least get some idea of what's coming rather than stuff that we already know about.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know. I'm trying not to get excited about these things anymore because it's been such a weird year for news.
Well, I mean,
because it's been a weird couple of years.
Yeah,
right? So that's to be expected.
I really want to be salty at Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo for that, but I kind of give them a pass because of just the the COVID shit that delayed everything. That said, all that aside, 2022 I do expect to be a banger year because what you're going to get is you're going to get all the stuff that was originally designed to come out in 2022, as well as all the stuff that was supposed to come out this year but got delayed because of COVID. And if you take a look at the Gamescom opening night live release schedule, and they were popping out all those titles, and they come out with like 7 or 8 bangers within 3 weeks of each other.
Yeah.
I think that is just the beginning of the opening of the floodgates when it comes to all the shit that's going to come out next year. It is going to be extremely crowded. But anyways, let us know if you get a hold of this a couple days before the actual showcase starts that you might be looking forward to. And I will be co-streaming this at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That will be the afternoon show. Mathematicus in chat.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got to address that. Fucking clutch pick there.
Yeah, Mathematicus in chat says, Metal Gear he gets, but Legend of the Dragoon deserves a remake. I'm true. I'm going to say it. Legend of the Dragoon sucked.
No, fuck you.
I hated Legend of the Dragoon. No.
You're an idiot. This show is over. I can't be friends with you anymore.
I did not like Legend of the Dragoon at all. I remember sitting down and playing it and just looking at it and going, I can't with this. There was something wrong about it, and I just could not put my finger on it. But that game never, ever clicked with me. And I think a lot of people are looking back at that game with rose-colored glasses. Because they might have seen a couple things that they really enjoyed, and it just kind of overrides everything else that was wrong with that game.
They're Power Rangers, but they're Dragoons. It is perfect media.
Why don't you go ahead and move on to the next topic here, David? I'm going to let you take this.
I'm going to give you this one because I know you're fucking excited.
Are you sure? Because I kind of wanted to respond to it.
All right. Well, we'll do that. So I got this just for you. I called them up, and I asked, because I know you've been wanting this for a while, and we got the info. Alan Wake Remastered has been announced. An open letter from Sam Lake. And a direct quote from Sam Lake. I'm beyond happy to tell you that at the time of writing this, Alan Wake Remastered is nearing its completion. Confirmed, announced, and coming up in partnership with Epic Games Publishing. Multi-platform, PC on the Epic Games Store, Xbox, and for the first time ever PlayStation, this generation and the previous. Alan Wake Remastered is the original experience he fell in love with all those years ago. We did not want to change that, but the visuals all around, including the character model of Alan Wake himself and the cinematics, have been updated and improved with some choice next-gen upgrades.
David, this was essentially leaked over the past week or so, and when like more or less confirmed because it was like popping up in listings for sale. That's kind of like when the GameStop gets the marketing merchandise and someone takes a picture, it's like, okay, that's clearly coming kind of thing. This, I am very excited about. One, I will tamper your expectations of your expected remake. That's not what this is. This is going to be a 4K update. They're going to add some director's commentary. But for the most part, this is just a current generation update on the game that is 10 plus years old at this point. But I'm fine with that because it's been a while since I played Alan Wake. I think that game specifically with its use of light and shadow would make excellent use of the advancements in technology we've had over the years, hoping that it takes advantage of that stuff. What I am really excited for, however, is I think that this is going to be the opening salvo that leads to the announcement of Alan Wake 2. I think this is the beginning of the hype train leaving the station. This is Sam Lake kind of telegraphing, hey, this is going to happen. This is clearly something that Remedy has been working forward to for a while with their addition of all the Bright Falls shit in Control with its DLC. I mean, directly referencing Alan Wake in multiple notes that you find in that. This is the gearing up of an announcement for Alan Wake 2, and I am really excited about it. In my gut, I feel it here. Maybe down a little bit more. You can't see it on camera. I am feeling that they are gearing up for some kind of announcement of a sequel to Alan Wake at the Game Awards later this year.
I just know this is one of those games that you've been yelling at me to play forever.
It's so good. It's
maybe
so
I will
good.
When it's remastered.
Yeah, it should be coming out soon. I'm hearing another rumor that this is actually going to be one of the free PlayStation Plus games in October.
Damn, that would be pretty good.
Yeah, that would be great for you for sure. There is one thing I am curious about, David. Now, you have not played Alan Wake, so...
Of course not.
This game...
The game you recommended.
Fair enough. Fair enough. This game is broken down into chapters, and each chapter is told kind of like a TV show. This is something Remedy's been doing for a lot of things for a while. Like Quantum Break, for example, is the thing that I can think of. But, like, you'll get to a point, and then they actually play some theme music, and credits start rolling. And then the next chapter starts, and it does the previously on Alan Wake. And it kind of catches you up there. During those credits, though, they had some they had licensed music during them. Like, they played David Bowie's Space Oddity on it for one time.
Damn.
Roy Orbison was in there.
So we have to ask the question, did they spend the money?
I doubt they did. But I would be very curious to see that, because I want to know how faithful of recreation this is, because the music that played on those closing credits actually matched the theme of the chapter you just played through.
Yeah, music is occasionally very fucking important.
Yeah.
In media.
We've gone on that rant a couple of times.
Yeah, and it's kind of a big deal when a game loses the original music. It can really change the tone, it can change the pacing, it can change a lot of stuff, including your emotional involvement, because music is pretty important to your psyche and how you receive media. But
I know we keep going back to like Saints Row 3 for music and games and stuff like that, but let me use a different example. Max Payne. Did you ever play Max Payne 3?
Yeah, I actually did play Max Payne.
Did you finish it?
No.
Okay.
I don't beat video games.
Toward the end of that game, there's this amazing sequence where you're walking down like this airport terminal hallway and blasting people left and right, but the music that is playing during it, it's licensed. It's from I can't remember what it is, but you can look it up, I'm sure. I think it's called like Tears from a band called Health, or the song's called Health from a band called Tears or something like that. But that is such a great moment that licensed music is important in video games because of the emotion it evokes, and I hate it when it just has to get pulled, and that is a problem. Chat says best score of all time, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII. Not licensed, but you're kind of on the right track. For example, for some of the older gamers out there, when they started up their old Super Nintendo copy of Final Fantasy 3/6, that opening score with the operatic thunder in the background, all in its 16-bit glory, was just that set the tone for that game. Music sets tone, and it's important that it's in there, and I hope it's in there, but I am not expecting it to be so.
Well, if nothing else, we can always rely on the PC version to get the music added via the modding community.
I mean, yeah, we can always find a way to mod it in if we have to, for sure.
That being said, my Kickstarter so that I could pay David Hayter on that fucking vocal thing to redo all the lines in Metal Gear Solid 5 has not gone well.
You know, sometimes the idea doesn't kick off.
Yeah, I figured, how
much
much is it for a cameo? Turns out it's a lot. We're trying to remake an entire video game.
You just keep giving him $5 per line. You know how expensive that's going to get for Metal Gear?
Yeah, it's a lot.
David, our next story takes us to VentureBeat. The headline: Mass Effect 5 might not use Unreal Engine instead of Frostbite.
There's a chance this game won't suck.
From the article itself, Publisher Electronic Arts and developer BioWare are seriously considering using Unreal Engine for the next game in the Mass Effect series. This information primarily comes from an EA job listing for a technical director for Mass Effect 5. That post says the publisher is looking for candidates who have, quote, experience with Unreal Engine or higher, end quote. I have confirmed, I being Jeff Grubb, the author of the article, have confirmed through multiple sources that this is because everything is on the table when it comes to new tech for a Mass Effect, and that includes potentially replacing EA's in-house Frostbite engine with Unreal. For those of you that might not know, BioWare was built the first 3 Mass Effect games on Unreal, which was a bundle of tools that devs can license to have games to put new games together. For Mass Effect Andromeda, however, BioWare switched to EA's Frostbite, which developer DICE originally created for battlefield shooters. But Mass Effect, and its BioWare follow-up Anthem, lost something of transition from Unreal to Frostbite, and that was apparent in elements like ambient world animation. Where a nightclub in the original Mass Effect would have dozens of dancing characters, Anthem's characters, for example, would remain motionless until you approached them. For EA, however, Frostbite's appeal was about saving money. Since it owned the tech, it would not have to license any agreements with Epic or other outside firms. I just recently played through Mass Effect Legacy Collection, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 there, David. And I was like, that game still holds up. It's still great. And your opinions on the Mass Effect 3 ending aside, that is still a great game series to play through. And then my brain started going, I think I should take another look at Mass Effect Andromeda. Maybe I'm just hating on it too much. Maybe let's take a look at it and start it up. I went 10 minutes into Andromeda before I realized, no, my hate for that game is rightfully deserved.
Yeah,
especially
they built that entire game on broken cookie code that they tried to salvage from something that was legitimately made for a first-person shooter. Built from the ground up by DICE for Battlefield. And EA says, you have to use this in a third-person action-adventure game. And it just doesn't work.
That game, more than I could have possibly imagined, is even worse than I imagined it. Because when I played Andromeda, it was years since I played Mass Effect 3. I didn't play one and go right into the other one. But
and
now that I have
straight in,
now that I have done that, and it's not like Mass Effect 3 was all that touched up for the Mass Effect Legacy Edition. Most of those improvements were focused on the first one. But now that I have seen them like side by side, back to back, oh my god, is it such a goddamn downgrade?
Yeah,
and the animations specifically.
Where EA just let the Anthem team use Unreal Engine. Imagine that world. We'd probably still be playing that fucking game.
Possibly, because as you and I have gone on record, we loved that game for approximately 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah. And then the fact that the systems were broken, it didn't work.
We ran a dungeon and then went, awesome, cool, let's run another dungeon. And they're like, well, you have your choice. You have the final mission as a dungeon. You have the one you just did. And then you have a third one. I guess we'll do the other one because we've already done the final mission. We don't want to do that again. And then after 10 minutes of doing that, we kind of went, do you want to run the first dungeon again? And then we literally both kind of stopped playing it.
Yeah. Because they spent all that time trying to fix a broken engine.
Right.
And it's not broken, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, Frostbite's not broken for
Battlefront and Battlefield still look and sound incredible.
Yes, for those games specifically, that engine is amazing. For what BioWare is trying to do, that engine sucks. The bigger point I want to kind of address here isn't the fact that necessarily that they're now going to Unreal, that it's rumored that they're going to Unreal. It's this idea that, where was it in the article here? Here we go. As Grubb confirmed through multiple sources, this is because everything is on the table when it comes to tech for a new Mass Effect. This is EA and BioWare going, we cannot have another Andromeda.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you said, this is potentially BioWare's swan song. It's nail this game or they're done.
I still maintain that's Dragon Age. If Dragon Age stumbles out the gate, BioWare if Dragon Age does not rock it hard from both a critical and commercial standpoint, what you're going to see with this upcoming Mass Effect game is what you're seeing right now with the current Call of Duty to Activision, where every single studio at EA will work to finish it up, and then BioWare would just get shut down. Mm-hmm. So their make or break game, in my opinion, is still Dragon Age. This is EA trying to cover their bets, but if Dragon Age flops, then BioWare is going to get yanked off of being the... they'll still be the official lead dev, but you'll suddenly find that they have many, many internal EA studios offering support to finish up. And then BioWare will just be slowly shuttered afterwards.
Classic EA move. I guess the question is, so which game has the bigger following? Is it Mass Effect or Dragon Age?
Mass Effect, hands down.
So
there's literally N7
if Dragon Age does well enough, it could still be okay. I don't think it has to do ridiculous record-setting numbers or anything, but I think the Mass Effect does.
If it comes down to what title carries more prestige, Mass Effect absolutely is the bigger of the two, to the point where they have N7 days. So
that's why I'm still leaning towards that being the make or break. Like Dragon Age can come back and get decent reviews and sell well, and they'll still be okay.
Okay, fair enough. It just can't bomb. If it bombs again, though, that's 3 flops in a row for BioWare. They'll be done.
Well, okay, now we got to figure out, wait, is that game being made in Unreal, or is that game also on Frostbite?
You know, I don't know.
Tell you right now how it's going to come out.
I don't know, and I'm actually kind of shocked we haven't heard anything from Dragon Age in quite a while, which is what I was wanting. Don't get me wrong. I think they announced that game way too early. They did it mainly to buy back some goodwill after Anthem. Mm-hmm. But that is a game that I have heard just nothing but, like, I got nothing to officially show for it or anything like that, but I have heard that is a nightmare development going on with Dragon Age.
Yeah, well, it's been in development for 6 years now.
Yeah, and that this Mass Effect game isn't even, like, past the pre-planning stage. I mean, they don't even know what engine it's running on yet. If
Most recent news says Dragon Age 4 is potentially on track, potentially, mind you, for a 2023 release.
That sounds about right.
Don't expect Mass Effect 5 like this fucking decade.
Let's take a look at chat real quick. In referring to Frostbite, don't do it. Just develop the next generation engine. Stop building on an old engine. You can only add so much before you start finding your shit broke. I really hope that Bethesda's hearing that. Whatever the hell they're building. Back to chat. Didn't play Mass Effect Andromeda because I have so much respect for Mass Effect 3. For the same reason I don't watch sequels to movies that I know have a great first movie. I know I won't like it. It's going to ruin the first movie for me. You know, I was about to say something negative about that, but then I kind of stopped myself because I realized that's the same logic.
It's almost always true.
Yeah, that's also the same logic I'm applying to the Ghost of Tsushima update, the new DLC, which I'm sure is great. Hell, the Godfather 2 is a great sequel to Godfather 1, both movies I've never seen, but I can recognize that. But I have no need to go back and play Ghost of Tsushima again because I had such an amazing time with that. I don't want to go back through and feel like I'm grinding stuff out that I've seen already, which might lessen my opinion of it. So I get you know what? I have had a nice experience with this. I don't want to touch it, and I wish I did that with The Last of Us. Mm-hmm. Where the first Last of Us blew me away. I think that ended perfectly. I did not need any more of that universe. And when they released the second one, I kind of went, well, shit, how bad is this going to be? And then I went, oh, this isn't a bad game, but it is significantly lesser than the first, which in turn taints the legacy of the first slightly for me, in my opinion. Your results.
Meanwhile, I've got all these yearly franchises, and I haven't touched an Assassin's Creed in a minute because, you know, it's just the same fucking video game again.
You know, I need to sit and actually play Odyssey one day. Not Odyssey. I played Odyssey. What's the newest one? What's the Viking one?
Valhalla.
Is it Valhalla? Okay.
Probably.
It shows you how disconnected I am from that franchise. I don't even know what's called.
It's Valhalla or Ragnarok. It's the Viking game. They called it one of two things.
If I can find it, it really is one of those two things if it's a Viking game. If I can find it for $20, I'll eventually break down and play that. But that I kind of count the Assassin's Creed stuff as different, though. So if I'm looking for story, I do fall into this category of, like, there are some things I don't need another of. But if I'm looking just to be, like, entertained, sometimes I get that craving to delve into a open world, and that is why I would eventually break down and play the newest Assassin's Creed, for lack of not being able to remember what it's called. It's Valhalla, I think. Because I'm playing that not for, like, any story, but because I want to go, okay, that's a fort. I want to take that fort. I'm going to clear it out. Okay, cool. There's another fort.
You just want to play an open world Ubisoft game.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Sometimes I get that craving. It's weird. It's like, you know how sometimes you want Burger King or something.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to get.
Every once in a while, you want to play the Breath of the Wild that doesn't have weapon degradation. I got you.
Goddamn. While on those two topics of Ubisoft and Breath of the Wild without weapon degradation, Immortals Phoenix Rising. It is a Greek-skinned Breath of the Wild game without weapon degradation.
Literally what I was referring to. Thanks for playing along, Steve.
I didn't think you were that clever.
Oh, thanks. Well, anyway, let's talk about something else because this guy's an asshole.
That game's great, though. I do recommend that game.
In another story from Video Games Chronicles, it looks like EA's new open world developer could be Neon Black Studios. That is according to a trademark filed by the Battlefield publisher at both the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office and the European Union Intellectual Property Office last month. The listing, which covers design and development of interactive computer, video, and electronic game software, is registered to EA's head office in Redwood City, California. The trademark is possibly related to EA's new unnamed studio recently founded by former Monolith Productions VP and studio head Kevin Stevens. EA announced the new studio back in May, confirmed to be working on an open-world action-adventure game. Stevens knows the genre well, having overseen Monolith during the development of Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, and Shadow of War. Minor aside, I hope they learn to actually build one that doesn't completely destroy all semblance of players' time and make something that actually has an end that you don't have to pay for.
The first 3 acts of Shadow of War were amazing. That 4th act where it literally took 80-plus hours of grinding, I think someone did the math on
actual, like, anti-consumer video game programming is the only way to describe the end of Shadow of War.
To catch people up on what this might be, because this is from a few years ago, but I do remember speaking about it. Shadow of War was a Lord of the Rings game that had, like, a 4-act structure. At the end of the 3rd act, you got, like, an ending, right? It didn't quite roll credits, but it was over and done. And then they opened up the world and kind of let you take over forts and do some remaining quests on there, as well as a hidden 4th ending that required you to knock off all of these orcs in command, I think. You had to do something. You had to level up to, like, max level and take out all the extra stuff out there.
Yes, and you need to have these summonable, like, orc allies in order to do it.
Yes, and they need to be of certain level, so you can either grind the old-fashioned way and level them up a little bit at a time, and a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, until they're strong enough to take these castles, or you could spend cash money, real-world money, to buy, like, a booster.
Yep.
Now, David, if I recall... Go ahead.
I was going to say, people found out pretty rapidly that if you're trying to play that game without spending an extra amount of money on it, considering this is a full-price $60 video game, it was about 80 hours of fucking playtime.
Yeah, of just pure grinding the same shit over and over and over again. To the point where when they finally closed the microtransaction store in Shadow World down, they changed the rate of experience game for that 4th act, meaning the developers and publisher knew that without the ability to buy from the cash store, that is a mind-numbingly daunting goal.
Yes. I will go back to the article, but I could not help myself to bring that up because this guy was the head of the studio that put that together, and he's making a new open-world video game. So, as much as this announcement could be exciting, please don't get too fucking excited because we need to see what they put together first. Back to the article. Speaking to Game Industry Biz earlier this summer, EA's group's general manager, Samantha Ryan, who was formerly president of Monolith back in the 90s, declined to say whether the new studio would be working on an original IP or existing brands.
David, I am hearing rumors with nothing backing them up, so take that for what it is.
Those are the best kind of rumors.
That this is a reboot of the Syndicate franchise, and I am somewhat inclined to believe them based on a few things alone. Now, if this doesn't come to be, or this rumor could be referring to something else, I wouldn't be surprised, because I think EA would be foolish not to be talking about this. Do you know what Syndicate was, first of all?
Well, I was going to say, how much excitement would a Syndicate reboot really bring, considering I've never even fucking heard of it?
Okay, so Syndicate was a 90s PC game. It did have a reboot in the, I want to say it was like 2008 to 2010, sometime around there. They turned it into a first-person game. But what Syndicate was a strategy game where you played a megacorp in a cyberpunky universe, and you would outfit 4 like corporate soldiers with various cybernetics and endoskeletons and abilities to like hack and shit and everything like that. And you would attack rival megacorps, get shit, and get out. So
that does not sound like an open world action adventure game.
Correct. That's why this would be a reboot. Because think about this. One, the title itself with the Neon Black Studios, that sounds kind of cyberpunky to me.
Yeah, the Neon Black is definitely a kind of targeted studio name.
I think EA and anyone would be foolish not to consider making themselves an open world cyberpunk game to actually step into the void that CD Projekt Red failed to fulfill.
What's funny is I'm actually of the opposite mind. I think that CD Projekt Red kind of poisoned the well, so to speak, because there's been so many Cyberpunk games that released in the lead up to and post the release of Cyberpunk that it's kind of already saturated. And yes, there are some good ones in there, but
has there been any big publisher that has taken that setting on yet, though? We've got a bunch of indie shit, don't get me wrong, because a bunch of indies are like, I'm cashing in on that Cyberpunk name, and they were making their game before 2077 actually came out. The Ascent being the biggest one that I can think of currently out right now that's actually still on people's minds. But
and then there was what was that, like Ghost Runner or whatever that game was? Ghost Pro something.
I know what you're talking about, but these are all smaller studio games.
Yes, that's fair.
I get the feeling that the studio coinciding with grumblings of this rumor are not coincidence. But once again, keep in mind, this is rumor, this is scuttlebutt, this is something that I heard from a guy who knows the guy at Nintendo kind of shit.
Gotcha.
But it tracks.
That's fair.
Because I don't think it's coincidental that the grumblings of this coincide with the announcement of this new studio. Especially with that name Neon Black. But once again, what the fuck do I know? Take that with a grain of salt.
We're talking heads on the internet. We make this up as we go.
Exactly. David, let's
move
on to the new story here. This is via Eurogamer. Kind of interesting, actually. PlayerUnknown departs PUBG company to found new studio. Brendan, PlayerUnknown Green, has left PUBG parent company Krafton, formerly known as Bluehole, by the way, to set up a new indie studio, PlayerUnknown Productions. It has been a couple years since Green was involved in development of PUBG. In 2019, he launched PUBG Special Projects, a new Amsterdam-based division which had been working on a fresh project codenamed Prologue. Green's new company, also based in Amsterdam, looks like it may be continuing work on Prologue, with Krafton investing in the new company of a minority stake. As well as PUBG, Krafton has several other projects in the works. There's the upcoming futuristic mobile sequel PUBG New State, a Western-themed Project Cowboy, and Dead Space creator Glenn Schofield's The Callisto Protocol, which apparently be tied into the PUBG lore somehow, too. I keep forgetting, by the way, that Callisto Protocol is set in the PUBG universe. I have no idea how that's going to be connected at all.
I mean, it doesn't have to be, like, super tight. It's fine.
The reason why I'm...
Because remember that fucking... What is it? Saints Row and Red Faction are in the same universe or something like that?
Yeah, but that connection's pretty direct through the company. Like, I know what that connection at least is. Maybe there's, like, some company that connects the two.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe there's just some simple... You put the right label on it, and all of a sudden they're connected.
But they keep... There's a difference between, like, a wink and the nod, like what Volition does of Saints Row and Red Faction. Because it's not like Volition comes out and goes, here's the new Saints Row game connected to the Saints Row universe set in the year 3035. And it's Red Faction, which has nothing to do with it. The Callisto Protocol is actively getting promoted as being in the PUBG universe.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Red Faction was never promoted as being in the Saints Row universe. Or Saints Row, rather, was never promoted as being in the Red Faction universe.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that. That's fine. Fine, that's fine.
The reason why I wanted to read this is because as I'm reading this article, it doesn't sound like Brendan Green is actually setting up an indie studio. It sounds like he's just...
It is strange.
Because, one, he's calling it PlayerUnknown Productions. I have a hard time believing that, because this man sold PUBG to them, that they would let him keep the name PlayerUnknown into something that wasn't totally closely associated with Krafton. 2, Krafton does have a minority stake in the company, so there's already agreements in place as far as that goes. 3,
then there's the fact that he's supposedly still working on the same project.
Yeah,
like that's
so
not... It's not a new studio kind of
I
thing.
brought this article up not because I'm a fan of PUBG or anything like that. I mean, more power to it. Knock yourself out. I mean, one of the most successful video games of all time ripped you guys off. Fortnite. But I just take umbrage with the idea that this is a new indie studio, because everything I've read here means it's just another branch of Krafton Studios, just maybe not under their direct control. But I guarantee you they have legal wrangling on there for him to like keep his name and shit involved. It just something about this didn't quite seem right.
It's a weird story.
It is
but
odd.
More stuff from a guy that made something that's outrageously popular. So more power to him. I'm still interested to see what happens with Callisto Protocol.
I'm really looking forward to the Callisto Protocol, because that looks to be what Glenn Schofield originally designed Dead Space to be. Because as I've said, the original Dead Space was supposed to be on a prison, on the moon, on the I think the moon of Callisto actually was the original design document. So this seems to be him just finally getting to fulfill his vision 100%. We'll see how that shakes out, though.
There you go. In our next story from Nintendo Life, Rumour, Nintendo will expand its Switch Online service with Game Boy and Game Boy Color titles. In the latest Nate the Hate podcast, known insider Nate Drake talks about how Nintendo might be adding Game Boy and Game Boy Color titles in the upcoming weeks. It all stems from a data mine dating back to 2019, which revealed 4 emulators inside Nintendo's NES app, which is what you use to open NES games on the Switch. While the purpose of the remaining emulators still has not been revealed, both Nate and his co-host NVG believe the third one, Hiyoko, is likely for Game Boy Color and Game Boy titles. Nintendo Life has confirmed with its own service that Game Boy and Game Boy Color titles are likely coming to Switch Online service really soon. In an update to the story, friends over at Eurogamer have done some digging, have separately corroborated the report that GB and GBC games are headed to Nintendo's Switch Online. And they've even gone as far as to claim that other retro platforms are also on the cards.
They mean by Nintendo 64 when they say other retro platforms.
Or the Game Boy Advance.
Maybe the Game Boy Advance as well. These are rumors that we have been, not specifically the Game Boy Color, but we have been hearing that Nintendo is going to add more consoles to their
their console
online
thing that they're not calling that anymore.
Yeah, which is stupid. They should just keep calling it that.
Well, no, they can't, because if they still called it the Virtual Console, then people might feel like they are entitled to the games that they already fucking bought on the Virtual Console from the company known as Nintendo on their previous system.
I'm so upset because I never pieced that together, but you're fucking
This is
right.
another way
exactly
for Nintendo to continue to be a shitty fucking company with unlimited goddamn fan service.
No, you are... I never thought about that, but I'm willing to bet you are 100% right on that.
Yeah, that's why it has to be called something else. And I guarantee you, don't get too fucking excited about Game Boy and Game Boy Color titles coming out onto the Switch, because it's going to be about 12 games, most of which will suck, 3 of which you've never heard of, but they will have a couple games that you like, and they're super excited to take your subscription money so that you continue to never get more games, because as we've seen from this Nintendo Switch Online service, they drip feed you Nintendo games at a ridiculously slow pace and will never, ever, ever give you what you want.
Nintendo treats its back catalog like shit.
The only good way to play old Nintendo video games is to either have the old console or to steal them.
Yes.
And that's Nintendo's fucking fault.
Absolutely.
And I will never, ever be mad at anybody that chooses to go outside of an official Nintendo channels to play their classic video games.
I cannot recommend that you go off and visit a site with ROMs on there. However, I will not fault you for it either.
This is one of those things that just makes me so flippin' mad, because I know so many people that have a whole catalog of Virtual Console games that they built up from like the Wii U, and they cannot touch any of them. There's no way to play them because the Switch got rid of that entirely. They introduced this whole Switch Online thing, and you think, okay, cool. Well, maybe some of these games that I bought will be added to the service, and I'm only paying like $20 a year or whatever, so I'll get there. No.
Yeah,
they release like 1 or 2 games a month, and they're old NES games that no one's ever heard of.
Oh, it's not even 1 or 2 a month. It's like 1 or 2 every quarter.
Yeah, it's so bad.
It's so bad. Hey there, Morathon. Doing well. Thank you very much.
Yep, just complaining about Nintendo.
I remember when they first announced their online service, I kind of went, okay, $20 a year. Everyone's charging to go online. That's fine. Plus, you're going to get these, in my mind at the time, this amazing backlog of Nintendo, Super Nintendo games. And I was like, cool. Every month we'll get like 3 or 4 new additions. We'll have some good stuff in there, some obscure stuff. This is going to be great. No, it is trash. And I think it's starting to happen. I think that we are starting to finally see more and more and more people willing to call Nintendo out on this bullshit. But I'm annoyed that it's taken this long because, as you said, for some reason, this fucking company has unlimited goodwill when they have done nothing to earn it in like the past 10 years.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. And I remember, you can go back and if you want to watch both of us being wrong, watch any of our shows from prior to the Switch's release.
Oh yeah, we both thought that was going to be trash.
We were talking a lot about how Nintendo had been banking on this imagined goodwill and how they felt like they could get away with anything, and that the Switch was kind of a make or break. And we both ended up being wrong because it came out and it sold gangbusters and everybody fucking loved it. But they kind of just released a decent piece of hardware and then kept doing the same thing they've been doing.
Mm-hmm. And to Nintendo's credit, that launch year for the Switch was one of the strongest launch years I have ever seen. But now, if you look at like the Switch online store, it is nothing but a wasteland of shovelware. Yes, I know the PlayStation and Microsoft store stuff are the same, but I expect a little bit more from a company that takes alleged
even
pride
worse.
as Nintendo.
It's even worse on Switch, I think, because there's so many mobile phone game ports, like direct ports, where they didn't even like pull out the monetization aspects of them. There's just no way to pay for any of it. Disabled. Yeah, they're disabled for sure. And it's
sometimes you got to put the wrong emphasis on the different syllable.
This is the same company that said they weren't going to allow like YouTube and Netflix on the service because of the quote unquote children. Yeah. But there's like weird foreign language like dating sim FMV video games in the fucking Wii shop. Like I don't even know, dude. I don't even know. I said Wii shop, and I'm upset. Anyway,
it's
sorry to ruin a story, but yeah, guys, you can play some Game Boy and Game Boy Color titles.
I feel that this is about to happen. The fact that this hasn't happened, despite it being rumored for like a year plus at this point, we all know it's coming. Everyone, this is one of those worst kept secrets. But I wouldn't be surprised if that Mr. Nintendo sits back and goes, you know what? They talked about it again. Delayed another month.
Yep, everyone get excited for Arachnoid, because that's what you're getting. Because
what was that? What was it? A Metroid TV show that got yanked because it got like leaked, and so they said, fuck it. There was some TV show on Netflix that was supposed to happen, and it got yanked because it got leaked. And they're like, fuck that. They don't get that anymore. Do you remember that story at all?
Vaguely. I don't know. That might have been a while ago.
Yeah, let me know if you guys know what I'm talking about. But there was something that got leaked, and Nintendo just took their ball and went home because it got leaked. And I was like, you fucking kidding me?
Also, if anybody has a favorite Game Boy or Game Boy Color game and they want to drop it into chat or throw it in the Discord later, I would love to compile a list of the games that everybody wants to see and then compare it to the list of games we get.
Yeah. Because, I think we don't need to go too much detail on that.
David, that just sounds fun to me.
We got 2 more stories I'm going to get through here real quick. The first one up here via Video Game Chronicle. CYBERPUNK'S developer can't guarantee next-gen versions will make it out this year. Updated shareholders in the latest H1 2021 results call, as transcribed by VGC. The company's Senior Vice President of Business Development, Mikhail Nowakowski, pointed to the lessons we had learned of the past year as one of the reasons that PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series XS versions could yet miss their target. CD Projekt Red spent much of 2021 patching Cyberpunk 2077 following its troubled launch, which saw it pulled from the PlayStation Store due to its buggy state, which was largely perceived to have been caused by rush release. Nowakowski said, the target is to release a next-gen version of Cyberpunk 2077 late this year. At the same time, keeping in mind the lessons we have learned during the past year and taking into account this project still remains in development, we cannot say with full certainty the project schedule will not change. David, this is essentially saying CD Projekt Red still doesn't even have what they would consider a base finished game out yet, a year plus after launch.
Yep. They are just falling so far behind. Okay, I am aware that this is a much bigger and much more complicated game than the game I am about to mention. However, based on the respective team size and their ability to produce with said size of team, I feel it is fair to make the comparison. They are so far behind the No Man's Sky team as far as fixing their broken shit this far after release that it's actually not funny anymore.
Yeah,
Because
this is just
all
sad.
they have managed to push out are emergency targeted bug fixes. There has been no major content changes, no rebalancing, no changes, no big fixes really, besides just regular bug patch. Like the stuff you would normally expect to see from a game this size, bug patches is all we've really been getting. Because
And
there's
even
been
then,
just,
not at any kind of accelerated rate that a studio the size of this would be
you
able to produce out.
you recall when they gave us a roadmap at the beginning of the year and how they've managed to hit none of it?
I think that to be fair, I think they hit one. Well, do you mean
Sorry,
like hit it on time?
sorry.
Or
When they
just any of it
released
in
the
general?
bonus jacket, that does not count as the free DLC. I'm gonna go ahead and just wipe that one away.
I don't think there's too much of this horse that we can beat anymore. But
Yeah, we can.
I just want this to be a cautionary tale to anyone out there that even the most hopeful and amazing looking of games and previews can become a steaming pile of shit upon release. And even the most trusted of developers can sell you a pig in a poke and ultimately end up lying to you at the end. Because I will call this what it is. CD Projekt Red lied to us. They let their pride and greed get in the way of doing what they should have done, canceling the PlayStation 4 and Xbox 360 or Xbox One versions of it, focusing solely on the now current gen systems. And if they would have done that, they would have had at least a good, not necessarily great game, but a good game that they could be going on. Here's our new full expansion to this game talk, rather than wasting
Yeah, they've spent all this
hundreds of
time just trying to
hours
make the game work on PS4.
of time and resources to make it work on PlayStation 4.
And they still, even with like the patch version, say, it's not really great on PS4, but we're going to stop working on that because
Right.
we have to work on something else.
And unlike, say,
But
something
remember,
like...
dude, CD Projekt Red, they don't have a whole lot of capital because if you recall, they are currently trying to crowdfund. Yes, that's right, crowdfund a Witcher comic book. Because, you know, they're not a major company. They're a small little company.
Yeah, they're just tiny. They don't own GOG.
They need your money so that they can make a Witcher comic book.
Fuck that shit, by the way. I hate that. That's...
Crowdfunding.
Sorry, I had to get something to drink
when a major AAA company crowdfunds, I get really fucking mad about it.
Yeah, same here.
If a smaller company does it,
mute my
that's
mic.
sweet. That's cool. I love that. Indie guys, make all the games you want.
Sorry, I had to mute my mic there. I was like coughing.
And yeah, dude, Keanu Reeves was in that game, and
how much money
that
did that
game-
cost him? And how
that
far
game
back
deserved-
did they push that?
that game deserved better.
We have one more story left here, David. Oh man, I'm like crying.
Wait, hold
from
on.
coughing.
I gotta go back because I
Okay.
was legitimately laughing at McMaticus's comment earlier when we were talking about Nintendo. Come on, guys, stop picking on the card company. They're literally the only company that has to sift through over 35 years of content. Imagine if Atari released the same amount of games as Nintendo. Do you think Soulja Boy would stay on top of making sure we get to play all of our old school games? Oh my god.
I would die a happy man if I can go through another one of these shows without ever fucking mentioning Soulja Boy again.
Oh no, keep him coming. I need it. It's very important. I think we need a separate section just called Soulja Watch.
We have one final story I want to get into. This is via PC Gamer. Thank you very much to Macmanicus for providing the link to this, which you can do as well by joining our Discord server and going to Gaming News. And if you find any stories you would like for us to cover, please feel free to put it in there. Not everything is guaranteed to make the show, but something like this I think does. Battlefield and The Wire actor Michael K. Williams has died at the age of 54. From the article.
This sucks.
Prolific film, TV, and occasional game actor Michael K. Williams was found dead at 54 in his New York home yesterday, The Hollywood Reporter reports. Williams, a 5-time Emmy nominee who's probably best known for his role in The Wire, had also held a place in the heart of Battlefield players following his appearance in Battlefield 4 as Kimball Irish Graves. A fan-favorite character involved in a key moment in the game's conclusion, Irish's popularity was such that he was set to make a comeback in this year's Battlefield 2042 as one of that game's specialists, debuting of a 9-minute short film Exodus ahead of the game's launch. David, I know who this man is. but I can't think of anything that I've actually ever seen him in, because I didn't watch The Wire. I didn't watch, oh, goddamn, what was there a thing that he was in that was big?
A few things. He did some stuff in Assassin's Creed.
I recognize. I recognize.
He was in
him,
Lovecraft Country.
Yeah, Lovecraft Country. That's the other thing I was trying to think of. I recognize him in a bunch of stuff, but it just never really clicked who that was until he unfortunately passed. Cause of death to be determined. By the way, we don't have that handy at this time.
He was also in Community.
But when I saw his face, it was one of those faces I look at and go, "Oh, I've seen him in something before," and I could never quite piece together what it was. I had no idea he was in so many video games.
That also just sucks because he was like 54.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was very young. It is unfortunate.
When we talk about like the 96-year-old super famous person, I'm like, that sucks, but you know, I'm 96. That's pretty old. But 54 is not.
54 is not old at all, and is unfortunately has passed. Our condolences to his family. David, we have 2 upcoming events that have been announced this week. One, a THQ Nordic Digital Showcase will be happening September 17th at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I will not be co-streaming that because it's on a Friday. I normally take that day off. That showcase, however, will be hosted by Jeff Keighley, you know, the man that does all the Game Awards stuff, and will feature 6 new games. According to the press release, they say, witness the return of a legendary franchises and sequels to beloved games. We hope you're ready, kids. I fully expect there to be a new SpongeBob because their Battle for Bikini Bottom did really good. And I do expect Kingdoms of Amalur stuff as well.
I'm excited because as we've talked about a lot over this show, because you know we're always on the Embracer Group acquisition watch. They have picked up so much stuff from my childhood that I've been hopeful that we're gonna see. That there's too many possibilities. Like, I don't think it's possible that I won't be disappointed by this because there's just so much stuff that I want from it.
I would imagine there's something time splitteries here.
If there's time splitters, I'll be pretty stoked. I'm not gonna lie.
But don't expect anything huge.
Yeah.
Because they are all B-tier properties. Let's call it what they are.
Yeah, but they're B-tier properties that I like.
Yeah. There'll also be new information regarding their upcoming games, Elix 2 and Expeditions Rome. Also, as we talked about earlier in the show, there will be a PlayStation showcase Thursday, September 9th at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I will be co-streaming that. David?
Yes.
Those shows are a bit far away, though. And as we've established on this, I cannot be asked at all to even go a single moment without playing something new. So what can I keep myself occupied as I wait for Sony to disappoint me yet again?
You're constantly playing new games. I can tell by looking at your like Hearts of Iron and Stellaris Hours.
Yeah, because you know, when you asked me what I was playing earlier, I played a game that was out for 3 weeks, and I played a game that's been out for 10 years.
Anyway, we do have some new releases out this week. First up, a remaster of Sonic Colors called Sonic Colors Ultimate, releasing on the PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. The evil Dr. Eggman has built an interstellar amusement park, but he's powering it with a captured alien race called Wisps. Use Sonic Speed to free the Wisps and gain their amazing powers. Explore 6 colorful, unique... Anyway, this game is fairly old, was super popular, has been remastered with 60 FPS, revamped lighting, improved graphics, and a 4K resolution. I know a lot of people like Sonic Colors, so if you've never taken a look, now might be a good time to do so. I am told
that the Switch version specifically is a shit show.
Oof. Of Ultimate?
Yes.
Well, it is underpowered. So what are you going to do?
But I'm hearing problems for, like, across multiple things, but specifically the Switch version is having some issues.
All right, we also have Fist, which is acronym for Forged in Shadow Torch, which is a name of a video game releasing this week on the PlayStation.
I believe it's also the name of Sylvester Stallone film from like the 70s. I'm not positive on that.
Probably. A Metroidvania action game featuring exploration, intense combat, and challenging platforming. I don't want to dive too deep on Metroidvanias because they're all, you know, if you like that genre, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But this one looks pretty decent. So take a look if that is your fancy. Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt is a PvP vampire battle royale releasing this week. Set in the Vampire the Masquerade universe, which is a pretty cool universe if you've never taken a look. Use your supernatural powers, weapons, and wit to dominate the night and restore the masquerade. Also, as a public service announcement, please don't pay for this video game. It is free to play. Don't mind the fact that key resellers have been selling it on sale all this fucking week for like $15.
Wow, I didn't fucking know that. I didn't know that was going around. That's some
people
shit.
have been fake selling an upcoming free-to-play game, and it is bullshit. So if you bought this game for some fucking reason, figure out a way to return it, because this game is free to play.
David?
Yes.
Fist is a 1978 American neo-noir crime drama directed by Norman Jewison and starring Sylvester Stallone. Stallone plays Cleveland, or a Cleveland warehouse worker who becomes involved in the labor union leadership of the fictional Federation of Interstate Truckers, aka Fist.
Cool. Congratulations.
I hate that I
on
knew
your
that.
movie
I've
that
never
no one
even
cares
seen
about
this.
knowledge.
I've never even seen this. For some reason, that name was like tickling something that I saw like on a movie poster when I was a child. Sure enough, it actually exists, and I'm highly bothered that I know this from just a movie poster that I saw when I was like maybe 5.
Yeah, I have never heard of that, and I'm gonna just remove it from my mind and move on.
Yeah, you say that, but on episode 1286, you're gonna be going, remember that movie that we were talking about?
Well, that's because I'm an idiot. I'm probably gonna go watch it this weekend. Hindsight 2020, Wrath of the Rakshasa hits the PlayStations, Xbox, Switch, PC, and Mac this week as well. Colorful action RPG, third-person game with morality decisions made from former BioWare and Sucker Punch veterans. Discover the power of your morality with choices and actions that truly matter. And it does look like a pretty decent little action/slashy RPG. So take a look. Blood Rain Betrayal Fresh Bites, PlayStation's, Xbox's, Switch, PC, and Action Hack and Slash, which is a remaster from the original developer, Way Forward, of the 2011 classic, with brand new to the game, voice acting from Laura Bailey and Troy Baker, sharpened visuals, rebalanced gameplay, run, jump, cut, and feed your way through a massive underground castle to confront Rain's father at the behest of the Brimstone Society.
That developer, by the way, Way Forward, makes some excellent stuff, so I might actually like to take a look at this.
This game actually looks great. Take a look at the gameplay preview, and yeah, it looks pretty damn good. Also up this week, The Artful Escape hits the Xboxes and PC.
Oh, baby. God, this
psychedelic
so
action-adventure game that looks pretty damn cool. A teenage guitar prodigy sets out on a psychedelic journey to inspire his stage persona and confront the legacy of a dead folk legend. Starring vocal performances from Michael Johnston, Carolyn Kinley, Lena Headley, Jason Schwartzman, Mark Strong, and Carl Weathers. Carl fucking Weathers. Take a look.
This looks so good. I will be streaming this week. I think it comes out Thursday, so I'll be streaming it for the night show then. But man, cool. I remember watching this at I think it was one of the E3 Microsoft presentations and seeing that and going, holy hell, yes, I want to play this. And I'm very excited to finally get a hold of it.
Well, there you go. Life is Strange 2 True Colors, comes out on the PlayStations, Xboxes, and PC. This is a classic story-driven. I don't want to call these walking simulators, but they're more akin to what you're kind of going to get. One of those very story-based choices matter video games. That is set in the Life is Strange universe. Alex Shen hides her curse, the psychic power of empathy, the ability to absorb the emotions of others. When her brother dies in a so-called accident, Alex must embrace her power to find the truth. And no, I will not read the pre-order spiel that you added to your game's info tag on the internet. So go fuck yourself, Keen. Don't pre-order. If you like Life is Strange, buy it when it comes out, after reading reviews like a responsible adult. Also this week, NBA 2K22, the PlayStation's, Xbox, Switch, PC. This is the Sim Sports Basketball. It's the next NBA 2K game. You're either going to play this or you're not. I don't need to sell it to you. Lost in Random.
You are correct. You described 100% of the people in existence. They either will play this or they will not.
Yeah, and I don't need to sell it to the people that will. They've probably already bought it. Lost in Random hits PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. Action-adventure exploration game. Play the odds in Lost in Random, a gothic fairy tale-inspired action-adventure where every citizen's fate is determined by a roll of the dice.
I kind of want to take a closer look at this. We saw this a couple weeks ago at, I want to say...
wasn't it that super indie mega stream?
It was something. It was presented very recently. I can't remember what it was exactly, but it was presented recently.
I feel like it wasn't on the main stage show, but it was on one of the pre-shows that we had talked about.
I want to fiddle around with it.
And last but not least, we have a new Tales game, which is a series that has a very strong following. Tales of Arise hits PlayStations, Xboxes, and PC. This is a classic anime-tastic JRPG. 300 years of tyranny, a mysterious mask, lost pain and memories. Wield the blazing sword and join a mysterious, untouchable girl to fight your oppressors. Experience a tale of liberation featuring characters with next-gen graphical expressiveness.
So,
yes, that
a
is
couple things.
directly from their press release.
I am looking forward to playing this. I like me most Tales games. The last few have been kind of rough, but I'm really looking forward to this one. But to give you an idea of how fucking anime this shit is, you read that the girl is untouchable. She's untouchable because she like electrocutes anyone that touches her, so they just like kill over in pain. But
yeah, she's rogue, but an electric fence.
The main character is a man who feels no pain.
Oh yeah, they're gonna bang.
Yeah, so they're gonna bang by the end of that game for sure.
Anyway,
but that's like the
Tales
most
games
anime shit ever.
I was going to go on the side that the Tales games have a good, like, kind of action-y combat system, so don't expect turn-based. That's not this game.
And it looks like they're changing it up slight with this one, but not by much. I want to get a hold of this because it just, I don't know. I've got that craving for a JRPG, and I think this is going to fill it.
That's fair. I hope you enjoy it. I will never play this game.
Don't expect you to. David, that does it for new releases, which means that also does it for the show as well. This has been GamePoints episode 277, and thank you all for showing up. You too can join the conversation every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here at twitch.tv/GamePoints. But if you can't, you can also watch old episodes of the show either at youtube.com/GamePointsPC or on our Discord server, link provided down below. You can follow the show on Twitter at GamePointsPC, myself, Stephen Brown, at CapitalistPig21, and David there at Palshife _ Satori.
Palshorf, that's fine.
Palshorf.
Whatever.
My throat is
tweet
so
anyway.
dry tonight, and I don't know why. That's why I've been coughing and hacking for about the past 30 minutes. It is
You need more beer.
really bad. I do.
Anyway.
God damn it, I forgot what I was going to say. Anyways, we're wrapping it up. Thank you all for showing up. Until next time, we'll be seeing you.